All right, good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, March 27th, approximately 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome again to today's session with Family Law Matters, the legal team. Today we're joined by Liz Jones from Keller Williams Realty. And I'm just, as usual, I want to let the participants know that as you come in, this meeting is recorded, so everyone will be muted. However, you can send us your questions via the chat on Zoom. We'll get to your questions. Today specifically is concerning property and the market amid the COVID-19 pandemic and the shelter-in-place orders. I'm joined as always by Gina. So Gina, give us a brief intro about yourself.
Sure, I'm Gina Famularo. I've been a family law attorney for going on 23 years in May. I am a partner at Family Law Matters and very blessed to live in Riverside County.
Thank you, Gina. Liz, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and we go by the Jones Group, and I lead a team of professionals, and we do residential and some commercial here in the local area. And I've been doing this for about 7 years, and prior to that, I was in advertising and marketing and led an advertising agency.
Awesome, thank you, Liz. And I am Beshoy Shehata. I'm also a partner at Family Law Matters. I've been an attorney for a little over 2 years now, so I'm still getting some experience under my belt. So with that said, Liz, give us a little bit of insight. What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Well, I'll tell you what, the questions have been finally coming to the surface. With everything that's been going on, most of the conversations are around the virus. But as far as real estate, people are starting to say, how will this affect the asset that I have now? They're looking at the market, and that fluctuates crazy, but the questions are coming in regards to real estate. And I want people to know, first and foremost, there's no need to panic. So things are actually looking better than expected. So I'm going to quickly share a screen here. If you guys work with me on this. Let's see. Here we go. All righty. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing you seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, super. So in what's really, really important here is that in the last 7 days, we have had 503 new listings. That's just people popping the houses on the market. We've had 485 price reductions, and I would stress those are probably based on people needing to sell right now. 351 homes that went back on the market. And what that means, I've had 3 of those myself, that people are actually canceling. They got scared and they canceled for one reason or another. 719 in escrow with the intent to close, and 795 closed escrow. So that's just in the last 7 days. Those are pretty strong numbers. So what we're finding here is when it comes to real estate, we've put ourselves on pause. We've got some limitations that we're doing, but overall the market health is very good. What's changed is the demand. The first quarter of this year, we saw a 30% increase in demand. And what that means is there are more buyers looking for homes than we had our inventory. And inventory is still relatively low. If you look at that 500 in new listings, we're really shy in the middle of our normal season. So this is really still a very good, strong time for a real estate market.
So with that, are you concerned about any price reductions?
In the short range.
Okay.
So let's say you are, and that's what those 485 homes look like. Let's say you are one of those homeowners that had your house on the market when this all started. So you either got into escrow immediately, or you found yourself with launching and then nobody's allowed to come to your house. So with that, it's actually somewhat challenging for people to see. Or so I've seen everything from gloves and masks going into properties, the homeowner leaving, the other people coming. There's some things we are restricted right now with social distancing, but we are also using some new tools like virtual tours and things like that. So it is a price reduction happening if you need to sell right now. Not everybody's in that position.
Okay. And you kind of touched on my next question was, how are you able to conduct businesses with the shelter-in-place orders? But I guess, again, technology, right?
Technology is amazing. So let me give you some idea. I'm going to stop sharing this for a second so I can share something else with you. Let's see if I can get that. Hang on one second. I'll come back to it. How about I come back to it in a minute?
Absolutely.
Okay. So anyway, what we're finding is that it is easier than ever to actually do a 360 tour. And so a lot of people are having some fun with that. Let's see if I can get this to share. Hang on one sec.
Is it a video, Liz?
It is. It's really not even a video. It's a live tour that you can actually do through a property. And some of you have actually seen it. It's where you will do, I guess it's the technology right now while we're on Zoom. So one of the things that we can do is you can actually get a camera in there and it rotates all of the room and you go room to room to room.
Wow.
In fact, here it is right now. Let me go ahead and share it real quick with you. So are you able to see this at all yet? Not yet. Okay. It doesn't want to come up. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Anyway, so we have not only that, but agents are taking walk tours through the property. So I did a couple of those yesterday for my new listings, and we are walking through the property. We are posting it, and we are advertising it and blitzing it everywhere. So people are still making offers. I received an offer on a property. We did a virtual tour 2 days ago. And I received calls on houses that just launched last night. So there are people who really want to get into their homes, and so it is a good time.
So for our clients specifically, what they're concerned about is the market crashing? Is this another 2008?
No, it is not. So again, let me go ahead and show you the numbers of the positive stuff.
Please.
Hang on one sec here. Okay. So what we see here is as far as our Dow yesterday, of course it's playing games today, but the Dow was up to 23,000. The largest week jump was down as low as 18,000 at some point. The Feds have cut interest rates to zero, where they ultimately affect our mortgage rates. So mortgage rates, although we had such a surge in first quarter, it's unbelievable the demand that we had. It's as historical. So they're slowing things a little bit. So you might see a little jumping in the mortgage rate, but because the Fed cut their interest rates to zero, we anticipate we might even get into 2.75 mortgage rates, which is incredible. And even though the economists saw an 8.8% unemployment, it's a temporary situation, and they know that. With the stimulus package, with people having to go back to work after this is all done, they're not looking at it as a long term, so it's not taking any negative effect, and that's why you saw the stock market jump yesterday. And then we are continue to have such low inventory in the housing market. It just indicates still there's a seller's market out there. So we're just pausing for a brief time. We are not going back to where we were in 2008. Let me see if I can get us, how is it different? Okay. So in housing, 2008 was the last time, and everybody's trying to say, are we going right back where we were? We had a purely financial situation that was a meltdown altogether. Our banks were not in unison about how to treat delayed mortgages. People now have equity in their house. 2008, people were taking out of their equity to buy depreciating assets. And so everybody was upside down when the market started to tilt. And that's not happening right now. We never had those unemployment numbers reach this, and the understanding that people are going to get back to work. And there was no timeline to fix it in sight. We know this is going to be between 6 weeks and 6 months, and we're back in a very, very strong economy. Inventory was so high in 2008 that it was a buyer's market. That's not the case right now. And we talked about the equity in the home, and recovery for 2008 took a decade to get back to where it should be. And we're not going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at the short range.
Okay, so there was talk about the third phase of the stimulus package. How is that going to affect the real estate market?
Well, overall, I don't know a whole lot about the third phase, but I do know the second phase. Here's one of the things, or the first phase that they put out. So we are going to have a somewhat of forbearance, that for every person who has a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, and that's a lot of the main banks that have agreed to this, and most everyone has a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mae backed security. But if they do, there is forbearance for up to 12 months, and this will not affect your credit whatsoever. So the money will still be owed, but there will be no penalties and no reporting to the credit agencies during that time. So that gives people a chance to catch up. But I do need to stress, they really need to call their mortgage company directly. It's not just assumed. You don't just stop paying your payments and then it goes back to that status. You really, truly have to make a phone call and say, look, I'm having trouble. And then you work with your lender to get that all completed and fixed and set up a program, or they tack it on to the end of your mortgage. So you all decide on that.
And do you have any opinion as to how long this market is going to stay strong?
Absolutely. Well, as far as nobody has predictions, but I do understand that right now, if everything stays the same and people are able to catch up to themselves in the next 12 months, there's no reason why the strongest economy in history couldn't go for another year and a half. So it really depends on inventory, supply and demand. So when people say, hey, this is too good to be true, and they decide to sell their house and cash out of those profits, then of course inventory goes up, and that drives down pricing.
Liz, is there any difference between, say, houses that are under $500,000 and houses that are over $500,000 as to the strength of the market?
Yes, good question. So that has to do more with demographics and then this unfortunate timing. So homes that are over 500,000 are truly, there's just not enough people. Out of 10 buyers, there might be 3 buyers that can afford a property over 500,000. And for those that are even over $1 million, you probably have 1 buyer out of every 10. So clearly, by the demographic of our nation, there's millions, 65 million people that are getting ready to retire. This might even help things along with retirement. There are so many people, those people are looking to downsize, and those houses are, there's more of them, and there's fewer buyers. So therefore, those homes may take a huge impact on this downturn right now. But I believe the millennial market coming in, the demographics, they're just building their families and they are equal in numbers. And so they are now coming in, and this could be an opportunity for them. This little pause and the low interest rate could be an opportunity for them to dive in and find homes.
How long have you been in the real estate market?
Just 7 years.
And have you seen dips before and pauses before?
Not of this nature. In 2008, I was an investor. So I took advantage of all of the rise in that market. So as market came down, I purchased.
You have a lot of experience in investing, do you not?
I do.
And so in your opinion, you're not concerned about the craziness that we see on the news?
No, this is opportunity. And as I talk to all the investors that are here, they know fear or human psychology is the #1 thing that affects our market. And when people are frightened, they make decisions based on emotional, and we can't change their emotional outlook. But you know, when we start to say that the sky is falling, everyone starts to create that reality. But you know, the numbers help us feel better about it. And there's just too low an inventory right now, too much of a demand based on demographics. This is a pause. We're all stopping to do everything right now. And even if a house is sitting on the market for 2 or 3 months, there's going to be an understanding that that was COVID-19. It's not based on numbers, time that the property is there, and based on the condition of the property in most cases. It's just a matter of life stopped, and that's going to be normal.
So your thoughts as to the outlook for the market for the next 12 months looks how?
It looks very strong. We're talking in my group of professionals that are big producers. We think that between June and December, it's going to be outstanding, possibly making up all of the loss for this season.
For our clients specifically, a lot of them are going through divorce. A lot of them are struggling financially. And their big question is, do I list now?
Well, I would probably say you prepare your house now. Yes. So prepare if you needed to do things to it because it's been neglected. You need to be doing that right now. Obviously, save some cost as you do it or do it yourself. But the preparation usually takes 1 to 2 weeks to get ready. That's decluttering, that's yard work, that's paint, whatever you can do to make that house look its best. And then you have to take the photographs, so that takes another week, and you'd be ready to launch by the middle of April. That's going to be a key time. If we're through the hardship of this by middle April, early May, that's going to be a hot time, because think about all these people now that are stuck at home, and what they're doing is looking online, and they're seeing the opportunities that come out. So timing is everything.
So now is the time to get it ready for 3 or 4 weeks from now, because that's what you think is going to be the hot time.
Absolutely.
And you indicated preparing the property. Is that something you would help with?
Absolutely. That's not a problem. Essentially, we do a walk, and if we can't do it because of social distancing, guess what? FaceTime is pretty good for that. Take it and walk around your house and let me see your property, and we can give you suggestions to do that.
Got it. And is that something you would advance the cost for, or is that something that the owner needs to do?
Well, as far as prep for their house by themselves, they do that. We cooperate when it comes to staging.
Got it. Another question is, a lot of clients have orders to sell. In other words, the courts have already ordered them to list the house. Is there any interruption in that?
I would imagine no, but with every divorce situation or family situation, there's usually someone who's in a hurry to sell the property and someone who's not. And so for those side of the customers who say, I'm not in a hurry to sell, this really does add to the time they're able to stay in their home. And for the ones that are in a hurry, obviously there's nothing anybody can do. So it's no fault of their own.
But as far as reducing because we saw like 485 price reductions, as far as reducing the home, you attribute that completely to people who are in a big hurry?
Well, probably about 80%. So think about this. If all of a sudden you have the court order said you must sell by 30 days from now, yes, you're going to have to take a price reduction. This is a discount.
Are you seeing a lot of foreclosures at this point?
No, not at all. And in fact, we have, if you notice, there's, I think what they've done is they've got, let's see if I can get to it. You have the 12 months that there is actually going to be a moratorium on being able to foreclose on somebody for at least 12 months. And
wow.
The same thing applies in the rental market. I know we talked briefly about rentals. So when there's a tenant situation, so if you've had any hardship due to COVID-19, you actually have 60 days to defer your rent with no evictions and no reporting to your no reporting at all to your credit.
Wow.
So your full amount will be due in the six months, and you have to work that out with your landlord. But in some cases, the landlords are saying cash for keys. So there's an opportunity for another check. If you have some place to go afterwards, you can offer cash for keys, and that usually gets the landlord back their property so they can rent it to someone else, and then you receive a check.
So this is really a good time to experience a little bit of financial hardship, because if I'm hearing you correctly, if you're having trouble making your house payment, you're going to get top dollar at the moment for it.
Absolutely.
And you can probably get some sort of a deferral on your house payment.
Absolutely.
And if you are needing to move in with somebody, you're renting an apartment and you're needing to move in with your parents or your in-laws because of financial hardship, you might be able to be paid to move out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Liz, just to clarify, while there's remedy and there's a way for the renters to defer their payments for 60 days, number one, it doesn't mean that money is forgiven. The money has to be paid at a later date. But yes, for the landlords who still have to pay on their mortgage, I mean, there's still remedy for them there. If they get their payments deferred and the tenant gets their payments deferred, then it seems like they're trying to just weather the storm, get through the storm.
Everybody is. Absolutely. This is probably the one time where everybody's trying to be in cooperation with each other. And I guarantee as this advances, there's going to be new legislation in both city, county, and state, federal wise, that protect all parties. And so it's just giant cooperation with everyone.
It sounds like the banks will be incentivized to forgive those, the money that the landlords owe as a result of the tenants not paying. It sounds like it's a trickle-down effect here.
Well, I imagine it's not forgiven, but let's say if you are a landlord that has not been paid and he then doesn't make a payment to the bank, if he calls the bank and say it's due to COVID-19, then he can actually get it tacked on to the back of his loan or pay over time. So it's really full cooperation.
So Liz, I know you prepared this entire PowerPoint. So what is it that you would like the participants to know about this? Is there a message you're trying to?
No panic is necessary. Yeah, absolutely. No panic is necessary. The housing market is going to stay in shape. I mean, really and truly, our inventory is low. It will remain low unless people haven't panicked at all in this housing market. They need someplace to live. They will always need someplace to live. Equity is found in most property owners' pockets at this time. So until that takes a shift, the housing market is going to be safe and secure. And this is a 6-month maximum turnaround.
Thank you, Liz. And then Gina, do you have any final comments?
I just have one more question for you, Liz. What's the outlook for commercial? Is there any change there?
Well, commercial always trails the residential by 1 year. And I would imagine we've just interrupted that cycle just because there will be some businesses that go out, but there are lots of new opportunities for stimulus for business owners, whether it's loans, short-term loans, or whether or not it's help with loss from COVID-19. I would imagine that will help them survive. Where it's going to be tough are things like restaurants that may not have cash flow immediately and may choose to exit. Those opportunities will be vacant properties. So commercial will be definitely affected by this as businesses start to go out.
Thank you for that, Liz. Liz, if any of our participants or anyone wants to get in touch with you, how do they reach you?
Well, as far as my information, it's on the screen here. It's liz@jonesrealtysocal.com, or you can reach out to Family Law Matters and they will connect us to, or you can find us online.
Awesome.
Thank you. Do you have a phone number for people if they want to reach your team?
Absolutely. It's 951-970-4771.
Liz, you're a pleasure to deal with as always. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. And for the participants, just a reminder, this will be posted on all of our social media sites. If you do have any questions that were left unanswered or you weren't able to join us, please send us your questions. This is a daily podcast. It will resume on Monday. And again, thank you, Liz. Thank you, Gina, for taking the time out of your day. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
God bless you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.